Alright, this is going to be a grand translation of an unbelievable artwork by Jacques Collet, I believe a Frenchman from i625, and it's called The Large Thesis. And when I saw this, I immediately had to know what it was. Even if my translation is a little bit off, I had to just know what the gist of this was, because it's so comprehensive. There's a lot of text in each one of them. I could tell that the categories were going to be very interesting, and I wanted to find out what they were thinking about at this time. And I don't know where this is supposed to take place or what it is, and even how totally the words that I'll read relate to this artwork. It's something very elaborate, something very awesome, and I encourage you all to kind of reread some of these translations or re-listen to them and just try to wrap your head around it, because they are phenomenal. And so I was thinking about this with i625, because that's clearly an I. And what if that's like a grading system? Like, what if we've already been through A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and now this was i625? Or, you know, it could be named after some person or something. But I thought of that would be interesting as a way of cataloging years or times even. They could be different in different parts of the realm. I bet this place goes on forever. And this is the guy, Jacques Collet, and he actually kind of looks like someone I'm going to show you in a sec, who is a friend that I've gotten to know through these translations, who is way better at it than me. And he knows a lot about the mastery and the magic of Latin. And here's a little bit of a sample of just what it sounds like. I absolutely love that. He's amazing, and I can't wait to learn more from him. I'm definitely going to do some videos with him so he can teach us all, because he seems to know a lot. And Lucas, thank you so much for that. And I've always believed in the power of music and language and music are very similar, and they activate different parts of the brain. And if these were all kind of connecting, like their language almost seems like it connected different aspects of reality in ways that led to a more encompassing like grip on the universe and on everything. And just the way when you talk to someone, it probably sounded like music, beautiful music, singing. Everything could have been singing at one point, all language. Who knows? The past is beautiful, but here's a little glimpse. So we'll see what happens here. There we go. It says, parents, especially for us who, like you, the best parent, property on a parent, opted a match, cannot be referred favor. I heard it from acute terms of philosophy. Since, however, his children, on one side, to be conquered, the action of an ingenious young people have no means to be endured, but the mind of the inducible, not sure. Nor are we into the depths of my heart, nor so much I truly thought that assertion, which your advice now is good for me when I came in your mind, and the gratitude that I am awed turns his attention to the majority opinion of offense, or of offense. Unless perhaps been solicitous in raising of children, the love of our children, and in the singular, is not disposed. The example of the best of the power of it, and of religion, which they complete with the parent, as well as children, they accumulate with every kind of benefit. What then? Father wins the most unpleasant child? A grievous thing it is true. But because you think mother most loving, honorable a name, lest there it is not unpleasant, nor, however, there is nothing which I will tell you the grace of. The pitch, preparing both physics, it will be in our mind witnesses offer, and so we have to be prepared for your benefit. So I hope you grow old, name to honor large. The lower the excuse indeed, than that he should be able to grow those things, which they have loved me. And offices are to come, but the greater ones I will restore to, in spite of to their services to suffer me, to be much smaller than me. Not, however, entrust this proof that they were deceived by a wide expectation of these things. If there is in me of a good, the whole of which is not in your nature, to godliness, to repay the favor, the observance of the education of the children, in imitation of the virtue of, that they are affected is expressed in the image of my, of piety, that is your own, my, that never fails, it will be mine. That there is in the care of his waking cries, you strive to the development, education is being agitated, and your fly to the bidding may be observed. 10 and even piety, purity, honesty, what that I have to go, it is the fathers by way of example in virtue. You at any time that they resemble the behavior of my father, then, I hope, reservoir of virtues of imitation. In the fact that this has not been very much wish your stable, thus permanently engraved in the marble, want to welcome you mind, was clearly manifested. By and me do love. So, and it says Nicholas Franciscus Filius, and I have no idea what he is and what any of that really means. That is like just bizarre, and I probably butchered that translation. To someone like Lucas, that probably just sounded like garbage. But that's what I typed into Google Translate and found, and I tried, and I think I did pretty good with getting the right proper letters and minimizing words that I couldn't get entirely. But if you can still bear more, keep going, because here we go. I'm going to translate these now. Now at the top it says the conclusions of physics, starting with Principia, principles. Physics is a natural body, and so it might rightly be disheartened by his principles, expressed the hope sincerely, which are no way different from that of the opponents of their guards, but also an a posteriori reveal about it. Well, define those matters which, nor of the other, and do not all out of itself, and from her they should have everything. Where the particle at one of the times, the supposition that as she kept, the first contrary, they are the same. Of the generation of these three, there are two, however, oposition. Very awesome. I absolutely love these ones. These make a little more sense in that top part. I was hesitant to translate that top part, but I did anyway, and I don't know what it means. But these at least are definable and able to be made sense of. So here we go. The next one is materia, matter. Of bodies, to be given to the natural transmutation of the matter is shown from the right. She is incapable of creating the incorruptibility produced as pure power, so that they have an existence in quantity. Form and shape for quantitative mass defines the boundaries, but the quantity of matter, if of things, or if things actually. I'm going to repeat that again. So that they have an existence in quantity, form, and shape for quantitative mass defines the boundaries, but the quantity of matter, if things. It has been tampered with, even when in the desire to all the forms. That is awesome. That is an unbelievable take on matter, from the particle to the connection in if things. That is awesome. And forma, shape, exposed, he too is to be given to the substantial forms, which are said to be educed from the potentiality of matter. It is not that which is actually to take place on that day, in comparison with the whole of it either in itself, or in respect of the certain beginnings, but because they are made from dependenter, not sure what that word means, that may cause the material, which is a key word, stinks. But because they are made from dependenter, that may cause the material. Removed all agreed, except for a reasonable, even those that were produced in the first creation. They can be given separately. Wow. So that's just like getting down to the very basics in a beautiful language. I wish I knew and could comprehend it fully. Compositum, compound. It is not the quiddity of a composite, is more than just the form of the substantial as a whole, but to this matter, too, comes together. It differs from them, however, are united to it and is coupled to, taking nothing real indiscriminately. It is the subject of the denomination of the accidents of the material, the subject matter, however, not in itself, in which the quantity of the other things to be received through the medium of no reason obliges us to affirm that in it but was immediately subjected. Wow. Play that over and over and someone try to figure out what that means, because that is important. Natura, nature. It is fitting, the definition of the substantial nature of matter in every form according to the principle in the cause is the movement of which it is said, etc. In natural movements that are emanating from the inner part of the substantial actions from all forms of passive, whoever does not conflict with the compound in which they are received, otherwise the violence from any external source, active fashion, even by God. Wow, really awesome. And I'll try to include the text at the bottom of this too, so you can read what I've ended up translating and finding, just in case, because I botched some of this. Even speaking like this is tough. I'm not even saying their beautiful language. Here we go. Causa, cause. There is an immediate fourfold cause, causular or something, popular division, however, is good and adequate. Promotes the idea, is brought, depends on the concept of formal practices. They cause the flow in one another immediately, so that by means of the actual existence of things which they require, and cannot be else one of the other of the cause, or in the same or of a different nature, as it did not produce a totally different effect of the number of the said. Wow, so they just have every concept combined into their language. It's like all these eternal things that they just take for granted in their language that the people at the time just knew that we are being lost to. All right, here we go. Finalis, final. It is also established for the sake of the end, acting in the manner of natural agents, however, be left to chance or fortune, cannot be attributed to the necessity of either the material or the particular owner of the article, or of a more universal disposition of the constitution. The power of good for the sake of causing a desirable effect, not to what seems the end, is the reason for so much, but in the spring. The causality is the efficient action, is far from desire. Esle intentional, the intention, the county condition. I'm not sure. The end, I botched the end, sorry. The final, not sure what that's even talking. I think it's just talking about something eviscerate, something ending. Efficiens, efficient. But the causality of the efficient cause is itself an action, which is not without impiety of secondary causes, which can be taken away. The power of the sun, of the first let it be done. However, those directly dependent on this first, not only be preserved, but also to work and without any prompting treated, either before determining the definition, the absolute decree by which God displays in this tumultuous gathering together of that which is simultaneous, but not conditional. Wow. They were just so with it and so in tune with the way reality is meant to be experienced. Material and formal, materialis et formalis. Every case which is intrinsic to the very fact that it causes, which communicates to the whole of his own on this partial, of the material to accept them even, but the formal actuating on behalf of and from thence, the power of the entity of which of them, from the very causation, no distinction is made, which of them are the gifts of God, nor is able to supply with respect to the composite, but it can be relatives of the form of matter, adequate. The effect is compounded matters of form. Wow. Every one of these is incredible. Motus, motion. Assert the Aristotelian definition of motion, which changes from that which excludes it. In the strict sense, this is different from the generation of subtus and corruption. It is defined as being between the ends of the contrary. By the singing of the women, however, is between the answering again to the three categories: the quantity, the quality of, and the position. The distinction is demanded from the endpoint, and the specific is a numeric one from the same, the mobile, the and at the time. Wow, they're just talking about how all the different factors of motion, and that's almost like their formula is like wrapped in their language. They almost don't need like the letters, because it's like they can explain it perfectly and on an even deeper level. Latio, the uncle, I'm not sure about this one, so help me out someone. It says latio, the uncle, or maybe a unique word that it's a concept that I don't know about. Latium, and is the first movement, the term of which the formal element is the place of the external man, whom every body, this is for her own to see perfectly, so that at the same time, however, by a divine power in one or two, it can be in many ways one person fully enrolled. No physical vacuum want to be make angelic can, if God allows it. In it, bear to see the mobile is a natural way, not, however, in an instant. It is not required to rest at the turning point. That is perfect. And that might be what it's about. Perfection. One of my laws. Movens, moving. Philosopher on the pronouncement. Everything that is moved by another being interpreted in a correct. Fierce is moved in the removal of the natural from the generator to stop to the place of flagrant inequalities. Competition may have said to himself, the motion of some part of its principles, no server to the bottom from the voice speaking to him down the foot as a whole, but from the payment of an excess, through the intervention of the mass of the seriousness of what sort of defeats the where. So does this humid, the more easily contained within that, they raise themselves. And that is moving, is the category of that. Wow. Mobile. I'm not sure what that is, what their word is exactly. Movement, I think, or I'm not sure. They tend to the center of the intersecting angled triangles may be obstructed. Consistent at no time did we linger over, unless it is in the line of the direction in which zero fulcimito, I'm not sure, is removed from the direction of the line perpendicular to the horizon, parallel to the gravity of logic, all the more so in that they gravitate. The reason for the balanced scales, levers, and instruments of art, sow seeds of all trades, and the amount of bending of the body in motion of various animals. That's just like, that's probably like the invisible like things that you see, the invisible just perfect ether. I think the ether is definitely involved in a lot of their thinking. It's almost taken for granted. Inceptio, enterprise. Abide by the duration of the sustainer, having existed without losing the own indistinct from that thing which is in the succession, is the movement of the first movable, said time. They begin to comparing those definite intrinsic points of this, is, however, from outside as something, beginning and to be defined by the manner of and always maintain the. God had everything except the beginning of time. Give in, however, so that you continue to be brought forth from all eternity in successive stages. We do not. That's just like saying basically we go on forever, I think. Universe, enterprise, jeez, our spirit just goes for eternity. Each world is great. Mundus, the world, states that no one can save more boldly this world, a unique natural system. However, this is not convinced. One goal is the unity of order and a part of God's creation, part of the generation space of 6 days around the spring equinox was produced. So perfect, although some are not contradictory, only a general mistake them for now it is impossible schools. And that is actually, I think, what I think, my law of perfection, that everything is perfect. It really is. No matter how bad or good, it all has a purpose that is unbelievably magical. Every second has the potential for complete perfection. Here we go. Coeli, heaven, the essence of the upright. But the fifth of the heavens you have made, the philosopher lays down rightly, material of the same nature, however, has a clue of sublunar. Above the firmament there entered into season, I'm not sure, as it is movable up. That is amazing. Now, above the firmament, there entered into seizing as it movable up. As it is movable up. This is the same as the whole of a hard, nor is it improbable. The same amount of planets, lawful for a man to admit all of a solid. It is not necessary to assert that the majority of that given by Aristotle maintained this, so they can be taken from the bottom of this very matter, the number of the two. Wow. Astra, the stars. At these lower lead the world motion of the stars, the sun, and borrows the rest. Some other influence is freely admitted. This does not work effectively from the proper form, will stop intelligence assistant. They can, eclipses, sunrise, sunset, and from similar things be foretold with certainty. There is not another, except at random, a much more beautiful on this earth, the sun, the moon, and eclipses. He is convinced, however, the least of them obviously emerges from the shadows of what was. Oh my God, so they know that just there's something just way in the distant past that is just so extreme, so perfect, so magical, so ancient. My God. Meteors. It is not the land of the sensible object of quantity, with the vast firmament in bulk. I was ready. The only sun makes a ball, with the water in the midst of the world, cannot be shaken by its own gravity. From the time that the light of heavenly extracted as a vapor and exhalation close to the atmospheric phenomena, the material there only accidental from its branches, constitutes the disagreeing parties. He is the breath, is hot and humid, this hot vapor and dry. Wow, meteors, that was. And I've always been very curious about meteors because I don't agree with what science tells. I think it's something unbelievable. Here we go. Ignia, the fire. Exhalation beam is generated. Goats, cadet stars, comets, thunder, lightning, and fires, fate and fiery meteors are similar to the county, deferred accidentally the size, shape, color, etc. The crash of the cloud is from the collision of the exhalation from within the place of the thunder, however, of the cloud outburst. It is an old exhalation that has been obliquely by the wind, for whose cause this a cloud came, or what likeness can you put up an obstacle, barrier? Ascelis, A-S-C-E-L-I-S? Not sure. That one's pretty great as well. The fire, oh my God. The lightning, I always wondered what ancients thought of lightning. Definitely had the ability to harness it. Lucida, polished. The air was densified in the material cause of the rainbow or clouds wet with the form of the sun or of the moon, according to what is determined by the angle of light was removed from the opposite, has been received, and he was grown calm. Wow, interesting. A crown of the same material they are composed, but are arranged around the star any more splendid. They are produced parallel by the reflection of light in a cloud, but a uniformly thick and smooth side to the sun or the moon. Interesting. A moon bow? Oh, those ones that you see, the circles around it. I wonder if that's what they're talking about, and the rainbows. God, I love the ancients. I wish we could go back and just talk and hear them and just be like, what? Just hang out for like years. All right, aqua et terra. Incorporate earthy or water and earth. Way, from which they are essentially the clouds, the rain, and hail. Snow and vapors differs only from within the greater co-creation up from the cold. Fountains and rivers that rise directly from the sea, but the water vapor from the air in several roads. The tide is a moon-mining earthquake from exhalations of a mixture of steam exhalation, wine, human skill, but gold cannot be done. Human skill, but gold cannot be done. My word, oh my. So that is the large thesis. And there's a few different words I found throughout the artwork that I'll go over now real quick because there's some interesting one. This eye on the end of the wand is awesome. But either way, there's so much to see in here, and this old time just keeps unraveling in front of all of us, and it's just so awesome. I love it so much. So some of the things that are in this also, some other texts say, we'll fight for the truth of God under the auspices of Prince Nicholas, a most reverend and most illustrious of these, Francisco Talunzas, added to it, or the companion of Lorraine, Bishop of the Elder, gathered you at the Mosapontani Society in the year I625, or 1625. So then in the top of this whole thing is this central guy. Underneath him it says, they will make these powers awaited. The chariot on the left says, the prospect of hope and joy, famous shepherd. Under the lions protects steep and with the gaze of a child by a levy for this hope of self. Top center says the divine father. Top left with the woman, the sire of the virtue of his fathers shineth in his. Center top, Francisco of Lorraine, parents opt, and I couldn't find anything about him online. Top right, this love is expressed duty. Under the top right, I do not dwell in the Father, burn to a piece of your children when they consult a crier of the black flame. No idea what that is. Lower right, woman on chariot, wakefulness, staring anxiously, care, training. Below the bears, it is not enough to have to be led of old under the light, the air above. She is worried the language depicts the unfinished work. Amazing. Left, bottom by the cherubs. He gave the words which gave greater, then sit with the princess. Right at the bottom by the cherubs. In honor of these bays will blossom greater. And that's all I've got. There's a couple other things I found in there, but they're pretty small or unreadable. And I hope you all enjoyed this. I love looking at this artwork and just finding out what it says and what they're thinking. And this one I am going to go over and listen to again because it's besides the beginning part, which I just don't understand. The texts about the physics and the conclusions of physics were absolutely awesome, and I know they hold and house some amazing things. And I'll include the link to this artwork, so if anyone wants to translate it further and gets a better one, add it to the comments. I welcome all better translations, definitely. I just did what I could. This is me just doing the rough bits, and hopefully we can get a better idea of all this stuff, because this world that's unraveling is just so magic, and it's just something we have to return to. Like, they want us to return to something. We're very close to this election, which could either go towards just the evisceration, the nothing of the eradication of creativity, or boom, the Renaissance and the just absolute world is just something perfect. It's insane that decision has come to us. It is absolutely crazy. We always kind of knew we were destined for something great. I have a feeling we all kind of had an idea this was coming. It has been innate in us. We were designed for this purpose, and we're going to make the right thing happen no matter what the outcome of this election. The future is going the right way. The Great Awakening is coming, and it's actually going to be my next video, so stay tuned for that. But bless you all. I hope you all enjoyed this. Have a great one. It's going to be great. Renaissance is coming.